battle tactics message to President Zelensky and Ukraine citizenry or armed forces. I am the best would-be president for America and the best politician in America, bar none. Listen to this advice. In your current situation, these few tactics could be invaluable and provide you great advantage. Even toward success would be the hope here. As to your land, this is Syria Part 2, or on its way there. The Russian leader is obviously determined, even like his Syrian counterpart. However, so far in the initial 10 days of war, I find perhaps 2 occasions where I would have intervened, or could have, if I was president at the time of the USA, and am not going to describe these here at this time. So as to the present, here are tactics for you now in your situation. Pay attention closely to grasp these tactics. They are meant for the valiant Ukraine, its children, its armies, its president and mayors, its citizenry and religious people. You find yourselves in much trial, though it's not impossible to win the fight or this war. It is important to observe that these here are presented in an ordered fashion. Again, they are presented in an ordered fashion. Sun Tzu was a Chinese general and military strategist who lived approximately 2,500 years ago. I am also a battle strategist myself. So in going over some of his material, here are ways I would apply them to your current situation. Perhaps if I was president of Ukraine, or perhaps as being some of the best advice I can currently provide you. God bless the decent people of Ukraine. Sun Tzu stated, "Avoid what is strong and strike at what is weak. For you, Ukraine, to not take advantage of this right now could turn into supreme error if looking back and feeling it may have worked with great consequence." So then, what is the, quote, weak part of the opposing force in this situation for much of the opposing side? The heart not to do wrong towards you, from either ignorance or not believing in violence against a non-enemy, and perhaps even love for the Ukraine region or its people as a neighbor. One of these is sufficient enough, and of course there may be other good reasons. So then, what is the, quote, strong part? It is very well waiting against all the battalions and bombardments of the enemy, which are apparently very challenging in avoiding as you are in your cities, towns, awaiting it. To wait in the city or town is not preferable to me, even, if I was involved as the servant or commander of the Ukraine forces. This is the enemy's strong point, just to outright destroy everything, and in effect to turn you into another Syria-like country. Instead of waiting around or hunkering down, let's go over what I view as more appropriate tactics in your current situation and begin with number 1. Tactic number 1, plains and peaceful resolution. He felt important for the war to be won with as little combat as necessary, and in this situation, of course, I see this as a great advantage. This would turn out as the key to victory, he felt, to win with as little combat as necessary. So tactic number 1 is mighty in this regard and should not be disregarded. It should be tried and accomplished if at all possible, as you are possibly able to do so. To fail to try is to see that Ukraine is just another Syria, is just another place where business and production and schools of education and the lives of people in a society is not crucial enough. That is to say, if you believe and know this tactic to be applicable to your situation, then spare almost no effort in the pursuit of the peaceful airdrop of information involving both the health and lives of both sides. Mention this: health and lives of both sides. This can end the war in a great momentary way, if not possibly everything. And changing the outlook in this superlative and excessive manner holds great advantage for the peaceful resolution of both sides involved. with then the next positive step to be potentially taken afterward. Even if you, Ukraine, feel that you've already addressed the opposing soldiers by megaphone or television address or appearances, this tactic should still be done and may have great effect on the field, say towards the 40 miles or so of convoy approaching you. There is good reasoning for this. The military command on the other side has likely taken away phones from soldiers or other means of communication that would thwart messages even reaching them, so go direct with the airdrop method. What planes or jets do you have? Do you have any? If so, make use of them right. Even one plane can make a huge difference, or up to all the difference. Fly low and dispense papers or leaflets out in massive amounts upon the opposing side. Details of jet or plane speed and safety of this flight may make this seem impractical. But which is more impractical? Hunkering down and waiting for this massive destructive force to approach you, or trying in this manner? Get over it, find a way, because this could really change things around, in my opinion. Now, Ukraine, you've already come far with offering food, offering payments, offering peace and chances to the opposing military. This is, of course, great in this situation and commendable to both Ukraine and her people. You see, if you were to ask for 1 billion instead of all manner of weaponry, this could be used for soldier survival for ones coming over unto your side. This would cover 100,000 soldiers for $10,000 each one, for example, to equal $1 billion. A young person can be afraid of just returning to Russia or even turning to you if threatened with jail or death. And of course your country has shown 5-star kindness in its treatment of the enemy here. Just to go out and reach out to that enemy in that field, though, can make all the difference, because they may fear indeed that on the Russia side, of course, to abandon things. They may fear that, but then coming over to your side, they may think, well, they're going to imprison me, kill me. I have no idea, because we've already begun the war with them. But when you reach out, you communicate with them directly. They can know that there's chances for peace and changing this war, that it's a lie, and you've got to say it right in the words. If you are going to do this method, get back to me so we can go over the words, because each word would be critical to state right. Or hope that you can find the words yourselves, but I am good at I would write this message with due attentiveness for each word, so keep that in mind. So bless you here, Ukraine. You see, Ukraine, maybe this would be undoable in some situations, but your population is well into the tens of millions. So 100,000 soldiers united into your society may turn out not quite so bad relative to population concerns. And perhaps they may want to return to Russia on their own terms. In the meantime, you can build up your ranks with the Russian soldiers by bringing these over to you. That is extremely invaluable, as they can team up with you and go out east to take places back. Once again, this can really turn things around. And these may valiantly stand for freedom and alongside you. First, working toward turning other Russians and invaders to your way of thinking, and in understanding as well about the ideals of freedom, about how they've been lied to, given some time among you. Finally, to remind you, Ukraine president or country, may this tactic call to mind this particular statement of Sun Tzu: supreme excellence consists in breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting. Tactic number 2, signs and peaceful resolution. Tactic number 1 can be used now. Tactic number 2 is difficult since the enemy is already upon you, and it's more ideal before the approach of the opposing convoy takes place, though it can still be tried to some extent. Who knows, though, this may be applicable sometime now or in the future. Remember that winning the mind or heart, or directing these toward what is right within life, can lead to the armament and destruction and violence being turned off completely, or to very great extents. Win toward the right things in life for success so you don't have to fight the opponent. Again, the quote from Sun Tzu: "Supreme excellence consists in breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting. You want to reach the heart. You want to get these on your side in peace. And there's great opportunity for that since the convoy has slowed. Around the perimeter of town and city and even country when there's time, and if it is viable for you to do so, signs and billboards can be placed describing your overall situation, the overall situation, between both sides. And going further, even along streets and the big thoroughfares, of course. In this situation, place signs along the main road of the big convoy as they are advancing into Kiev of Ukraine. Kind of like the pamphlet or leaflet paper drop in Tactic 1. You want to offer edification of that, or a more support for that concept with signs and billboards. The battle here is to break through the wall of false information. The battle of the mind before the physical battle, that is to say, in your current situation. Many soldiers sent from Russia have no access to phones, have no access to full understanding of who they kill or fight with, and have no understanding that refusing evil orders is morally the right thing to do. Fight the information war before the combative war in this Ukraine situation. This can, of course, limit death, destruction, hatred, and so many other areas of negativity. Overall, the way of defeating an enemy without fighting is not accomplished in history much. With the conscience of an individual Russian, or the conscience of the Russian military in this current situation, though it is possible, it is a unique situation. Having them already susceptible to receiving the right information makes this all easier and should be tried very much. It is not an opportunity to miss and just sit and wait for the enemy's approach and destruction. Tactic number 3, shorten this war right now. A lengthy war will hurt both Russia and the resources of its fighting forces, as is apparent already. But this will also diminish or destroy whole sections, if not entirely, the land of Ukraine. Their approach, that is. Indeed, places and perhaps the country are on the way to becoming Syria Part 2. These tactics mentioned have the potential to turn this immediate war around in your Ukraine country, at least for the time being. So why not would you try these things? So for Tactic 3, implementation of tactics number 1 and number 2. Tactic 3 is just a strong reminder, said in a different way, of the first 2 and of their importance, and to get going soon as humanly possible. To shorten and eradicate this part of the current conflict as soon as humanly possible. Again, good communication with the opposing force. They are open to this, as shown in person after person in various situations. You want to seek to change their minds, their hearts, with their readiness to do so. and to fight among you, to join your forces instead, and to help you even out east. It's important to remember that. Tactic number 4, seed nuclear reactor ground. One last thing I wanted to add is concerning nuclear sites. Some things are not worth fighting over, in the very least, in the short-term frame of things. Yield or cede this ground when fighting breaks out. Back off and yield this ground. Again, to Zelensky and Ukrainian fighting forces, under no circumstance should you be fighting over the nuclear sites. If I was president of Ukraine, I would feel the same way. I would find alternative manner, or a second one or more, of securing maybe our way of living, because this holds power unto Ukraine. One of them holds 25% of perhaps the electrical power. But you have to let them go for the time being, at least. This is at least my default position for nuclear sites, unless some other peaceful or alternative method becomes apparent over time. So that's really it. And the first two are the ones to go and try before the convoy reaches. You want to get this as soon as possible. It can extremely turn the tide of the war and the fight, and there is no doubt about it in my mind. So this concludes some basic tactics in your current situation within Ukraine. Take care. God bless the Ukrainian people and land and way of life. Thank you for your stand against this enemy and for your freedom and rights. God bless, and blessed be God. Amen.